Welcome back to another Nourish to Flourish segment with yours truly, Megan the Trainer, registered dietitian. And today I am going to cover probably one of the most common questions that I get from clients, whether they're in a nutrition session with me or when I see gym clients just in passing when they're coming in for a workout. And I guess technically it's probably two questions because one usually has a follow-up to the other, is what's the difference between prebiotics and probiotics, and should I be taking a probiotic? So the first question, what's the difference between a prebiotic and a probiotic? I'm sure you're probably familiar with the fact that we have a bunch of living organisms that live inside of our intestines, in our gut microbiome. And our gut microbiome does a lot of really great things for us. It gives us some different nutrients, it makes some short-chain fatty acids, it helps maintain the lining of our intestines. But at the same time, if we have an imbalance in them, sometimes that can cause some other health complications. We'll save that topic for another day. But we've got all of these organisms in our gut, and it's really important that they're there. And so those are what we call the probiotics. So what I like to say is pro has an O in it, so those are the organisms. Probiotics are the organisms. Prebiotics, on the other hand, have an E in it, pre, so that's what the probiotics like to eat. So prebiotics are going to be coming from our food, specifically different kinds of fibers, for example, or different color pigments in our foods. So probiotics are the organisms, prebiotics are what they like to eat. So should you be taking a probiotic is then the next question. And if you know me, if you've been following me long enough, you'll know that my infamous answer is, well, it depends.
I heard that.
We can get probiotics from our food. Fermented foods, we can drink kimchi, or not drink kimchi, we can drink kombucha or eat kimchi, and yogurt, and there's pickles that can be made through fermentation. So there are some food categories that are going to have some of those organisms already included in them. Again, yogurt is usually an easy favorite for a lot of clients. I know that's the one that I try to consistently stick to. So if you're including some of those things in your weekly menu, then you're probably getting some, again, from an outside source, so you wouldn't have to necessarily take a probiotic supplement. But here's the thing though, with taking a probiotic supplement, in theory, yes, those organisms are going to be there while you're taking the probiotic, but just because you're taking it for however many capsules are in that pill doesn't mean that those good guys are going to stay in your gut after you stop taking it. Now, in some cases, they might be there, but I always like to share the analogy of, would you like to have your home scooped up and plopped right into the middle of a Disney World park? Now, for some of you, you might be like, yeah, okay, I don't care. But other people be like, no thank you. It is way too loud. There is way too many people. The environment is not ideal for where I would like to be living. And that's kind of the same thing with our probiotics. So if you had a free pass where you could come and go to Disney as you please, you probably would use that pretty often. So the free pass is kind of like when we're taking our probiotic supplement. It's going to be there because it has the free pass. But in order for them to take up residence and actually live there, again, like if you were to move your house to the park, you have to have some changes, or the probiotics like to have some changes in environment. So that's where we want to make sure that we're getting some prebiotics coming in. So not only can we get them into our system, but how we can keep them in our system. So it's a lot about retention and ways that we can foster that. So how are we going to do that? Where are we going to get those prebiotic sources? Again, I mentioned we can get them from our food. Fibers are going to be really great for that. And if we think of having variety coming in, so if you feel like you're eating the same thing every single day or every single week, I would encourage you to kind of mix that up, because we have a whole variety of gut bugs. And some of them are kind of like little piggies, and they'll kind of go to town on whatever buffet comes down. But some of them will also be a little pickier too, where only certain things will kind of feed them. So this is where we want to encourage a lot of variety. We want to have a lot of color when we're choosing a lot of those foods. A lot of our plant foods essentially are going to give us that. So now that you know better, let's go out and do better so we can all be better, and our gut bugs can be better too.